Welcome back to the channel, where we dive deep into the fascinating history of world coins and uncover the stories, design details, and collectible value behind them. Today, we're exploring one of the most recognizable American coins, the Lincoln Wheat Penny, specifically the 1956 issue. This 1-cent coin may seem ordinary at first glance, but it holds an important place in U.S. coinage history and continues to attract the attention of collectors worldwide. So, grab your magnifying glass as we journey into the story of the 1956 Lincoln Wheat Penny. The origins of the Lincoln Cent. The Lincoln Cent series began in 1909, marking the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the very first U.S. coin to feature a real person instead of symbolic images of liberty. The coin's design was created by Victor David Brenner, a Lithuanian-born sculptor. His portrait of Lincoln was based on a photograph taken in 1864, just before Lincoln's assassination. The reverse featured 2 stalks of wheat framing the words, 1 cent, giving the coin its nickname, the Wheat Penny. The wheat design was issued from 1909 until 1958, after which it was replaced with the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. This makes the 1956 Wheat Penny one of the final issues of the beloved wheat reverse design. Design features of the 1956 penny. Let's look closely at the design elements of the 1956 Lincoln Wheat Cent. Obverse. Front shows the right-facing bust of Abraham Lincoln. The inscriptions include, "In God We Trust," above Lincoln's head, "Liberty," to the left, and the year, 1956. To the right, some coins also carry a D mint mark below the year, indicating that they were struck at the Denver Mint. Reverse. Back 2 stalks of wheat flank the denomination, 1 cent, in the center. Above it reads, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. At the bottom is, United States of America. The design is simple but powerful, celebrating Lincoln while symbolizing American agriculture and prosperity. Mintage and mint locations. In 1956, the Lincoln Wheat Penny was struck in massive numbers. The U.S. Mint produced coins at 2 locations. Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, over 420 million pieces were minted. Denver Mint, with D mint mark, more than 1.09 billion coins were produced. This means that the 1956 Wheat Penny had a total mintage of more than 1.5 billion coins, making it one of the most common wheat cents ever struck. Historical context. America in 1956. To understand the value of this coin, it's important to think about the time it was circulating. 1956 was a post-World War II era, with the United States experiencing economic growth and prosperity. President Dwight D. Eisenhower was in the White House. Gasoline cost around 23 cents per gallon, and a loaf of bread was just 18 cents. The Lincoln Wheat Penny was part of daily life, used for candy, newspapers, and even bus fares. It may have been a small coin, but in the 1950s, it carried purchasing power. Collectability of the 1956 Wheat Penny. Because the 1956 penny was minted in such large numbers, it's not considered a rare coin. Millions still exist today, tucked away in jars, old wallets, and coin collections. However, its value depends on several factors. 1. Condition. Grade. Heavily circulated coins are generally worth only face value, or about 2 to 5 cents to collectors. Coins in uncirculated, mint state condition, especially with original red luster, are much more valuable. 2. Mint mark. Both the 1956 Philadelphia and 1956 D Denver issues are common. However, high-quality examples from Denver with sharp strikes are often more desirable. 3. Errors and varieties. Some 1956 pennies feature double dies, die breaks, or repunched mint marks, RPMs. These errors can significantly raise a coin's value. Values of the 1956 Lincoln Wheat Penny. So, how much is the 1956 penny worth today? Let's break it down. Circulated condition, 2 to 5 cents. Uncirculated brown or red-brown examples, around $1 to $5. Brilliant red uncirculated coins, mint state 65 or higher, $15 to $50, depending on eye appeal. Error coins. Prices vary. A strong double die or dramatic RPM could fetch $100 or more at auction. For example, a 1956 D Lincoln Cent graded MS67 red by PCGS has sold for over $7,000 at auction due to its pristine quality and rarity at that grade. Why collect the 1956 Wheat Penny? Even though it's common, collectors love the 1956 Wheat Penny for several reasons. Historical significance. as one of the final wheat cents before the design changed in 1959, it represents the end of an era, affordable entry point. Beginners can easily add this coin to their collection without spending a fortune. Error hunting. Searching through 1956 pennies for rare errors is exciting and potentially rewarding. Tips for collectors: if you're interested in collecting the 1956 Lincoln cent, here are some quick tips. 1. Look for red luster. Coins with their original copper red shine are the most desirable. 2. Check for errors. Use a magnifying glass to spot double dies or repunched mint marks. 3. Protect your coins. Store them in coin flips, holders, or albums to prevent damage. 4. Get coins graded. If you believe you have a high-quality example, professional grading can confirm its value. The 1956 Lincoln wheat penny may not be a rare coin, but it carries with it more than just 1 cent of value. It tells the story of American history, celebrates President Abraham Lincoln, and marks the final years of one of the most iconic U.S. coin designs. For collectors, it's a coin that combines affordability, history, and the thrill of error hunting. Whether you find one in pocket change or inherit a jar of old pennies, the 1956 wheat penny is always worth a closer look. So next time you see a Lincoln wheat cent, remember, it's not just a coin, it's a piece of America's past. Next video, we're diving into the fascinating story of the 1937 Lincoln wheat penny, one of the most beloved coins in American history. Even though it's just a simple copper cent, the 1937 wheat penny carries with it decades of history, artistry, and collectible value. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector or just beginning your journey, you'll want to stick around as we uncover everything about this coin, from its design and production to its rarity and value in today's market. The background of the Lincoln wheat penny. The Lincoln wheat penny, also known as the Lincoln cent, was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was designed by Victor David Brenner, a talented sculptor who captured Lincoln's image in a way that resonated deeply with the American people. This was also the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure, breaking away from the tradition of using symbolic liberty portraits. The coin quickly became popular, and the wheat ears on the reverse symbolized prosperity and agriculture, two key pillars of America's identity at the time. By 1937, the Lincoln wheat cent had already been in circulation for nearly 30 years and was a familiar part of everyday life in the United States. Design features of the 1937 penny. Let's take a closer look at the design. Obverse. Front. The obverse features a right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Above his head is the national motto, "In God We Trust." To the left of Lincoln is the word "Liberty," and to the right, the date 1937. If the coin was struck at a branch mint, you'll also find a small mint mark below the date. Reverse. Back on the reverse, you'll find 2 stalks of wheat curved along the edges, framing the inscriptions, 1 cent and United States of America. At the top is the motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. This simple yet powerful design lasted until 1958, when it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design. Mint marks and production numbers. The year 1937 saw the Lincoln wheat penny struck at 3 different mints. 1. Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, with a huge mintage of about 309 million coins. 2. Denver Mint, D, produced around 50 million coins. 3. San Francisco Mint, S, minted about 34.5 million coins. With such large mintages, most 1937 pennies were considered common at the time, especially those from Philadelphia. However, high-quality, uncirculated examples and coins with errors are much scarcer and more valuable today. Historical context. America in 1937. The year 1937 was an interesting time in American history. The country was still dealing with the effects of the Great Depression. President Franklin D. Roosevelt was in office, and his New Deal programs were trying to rebuild the economy and provide hope to struggling Americans. The penny, small as it was, played an important role in everyday life. For just a cent, you could buy a piece of candy, a newspaper, or even a cup of coffee in many places. So, the 1937 wheat penny was truly a coin of the people, passing through countless hands during tough economic times. Errors and varieties to look for. Like many coins, the 1937 wheat penny has a few notable errors and varieties that collectors actively seek out. These errors make some coins significantly more valuable than their regular counterparts. Here are the main ones to look for. Double die errors. Some 1937 pennies, particularly from Philadelphia, show doubling on the date or lettering. These are rare but highly collectible. Off-center strikes. Coins that were struck off-center can be worth far more than face value, depending on how dramatic the error is. BIE error, a common die break variety, occurs between the letters B and E in Liberty, creating what looks like an extra I. This small error is popular among Lincoln cent collectors. If you have a 1937 wheat penny, it's always worth checking carefully for these varieties with a magnifying glass. Grading and condition. When it comes to coin collecting, condition is everything. A 1937 wheat penny that has been heavily circulated may only be worth a few cents, while one in pristine, uncirculated condition can sell for much more. Collectors use the Sheldon grading scale to evaluate coins, ranging from poor, P1, all the way up to mint state, MS 70. For wheat pennies, the most common grades are good, G for heavy wear, but the design is still identifiable, fine, F12 moderate wear, with more details visible, extremely fine, EF 40 light wear, with strong details on Lincoln's hair and wheat stalks, mint state, MS 60 and above no wear, with original luster and sharp details. Uncirculated coins from 1937, especially those with full red copper color, are the most valuable. Values of the 1937 wheat penny. Now let's talk about what everyone wants to know. The value: Philadelphia, no mint mark circulated, 10 to 25 cents uncirculated, $2 to $1.10 gem red examples, $50 or more. Denver, D, circulated, 20 to 50 cents uncirculated, $5 to $1.20 high grade red examples, $100 or more. San Francisco, S circulated, 25 to 75 cents uncirculated, $7 to $1.25 gem red examples, $1.25 error varieties. Depending on the type of error, values can range from $50 to several $100s. While most 1937 wheat pennies are considered common, collectors still prize them for their age, history, and beauty. Why collect the 1937 penny? So, why should collectors pay attention to the 1937 wheat penny? Here are a few reasons. 1. Historical connection. It's a coin from the Depression era, giving us a glimpse into the past. 2. Affordable collectible. Unlike some rare coins, the 1937 penny is accessible to beginners. 3. Varieties and errors. Collectors love the challenge of hunting for rare varieties. 4. Part of a larger series, the Lincoln Wheat Cent is one of the most widely collected coin series in the U.S. The 1937 Lincoln Wheat Penny may not be the rarest or most expensive coin in the world, but it holds a special place in American numismatic history. Its classic design, rich background, and ties to a challenging era in U.S. history make it a worthy addition to any collection. If you have one in your change jar, don't dismiss it. Even a simple penny can hold more history than you'd expect. That wraps up our deep dive into the 1937 Lincoln Wheat Penny. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to learn more about rare and historic coins from around the world, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss our latest uploads. Next Coin, where we dive into the fascinating history and value of coins from around the world. Today, we're taking a closer look at one of America's most collected coins, the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny. This 1-cent coin may seem small, but it carries with it a story of resilience, history, and numismatic significance. By the end of this video, you'll know the background of this coin, its design, how it came to be during the final year of World War II, and of course, its value for collectors today. Historical background: the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny was minted during a pivotal time in American and world history. The year 1945 marked the end of World War II, a conflict that had consumed much of the early 1940s. America's economy was fully mobilized for war production, and resources such as copper and tin were tightly controlled. Just a few years earlier, in 1943, the U.S. Mint had even struck pennies out of zinc-coated steel to save copper for the war effort. By 1945, however, copper was once again used in penny production, since wartime demand was easing as victory approached. Still, the influence of the war loomed large. Coins from this era are reminders of how even small everyday objects like pennies were directly connected to global events. Design of the coin: the 1945 penny is part of the Lincoln Wheat Cent series, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The designer was Victor David Brenner, and his design remained on the US 1-cent piece until 1958. On the obverse, front, of the coin, you'll find a portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right. Above his head is the inscription, "In God We Trust." To the left is the word "Liberty," and to the right is the date, 1945. If the coin was minted in Denver or San Francisco, you'll also see a small mintmark letter, D, or S, just below the date. Coins without a mintmark were produced at the Philadelphia Mint. On the reverse, back, the coin features two stalks of wheat along the sides, hence the name, wheat penny. At the top, you'll see the motto, E pluribus unum, Latin for, out of many, one. In the center, the words, 1 cent and United States of America, are prominently displayed. The wheat stalks symbolize prosperity and agricultural strength, important themes during a time when the nation was still recovering from the Great Depression and emerging from the war. Mintage numbers. The 1945 Lincoln wheat penny was produced in large numbers, making it one of the more common dates in the wheat cent series. Here are the approximate mintages: Philadelphia Mint, no mintmark, about 1,040,515,000 coins. Denver Mint, D, about 266,268,000 coins. San Francisco Mint, S, about 181,770,000 coins. In total, more than 1.4 billion pennies were minted in 1945. These high numbers mean the coin is not considered rare, but condition and mintmark can significantly influence value, composition and specifications. The 1945 penny was struck in the standard bronze alloy of the time, which was 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc. The coin weighs about 3.11 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters. This traditional bronze composition had been used since the early 1900s, except for the steel cents in 1943. Collectability and value. Now, let's get to the part every collector wants to know. What is the value of a 1945 wheat penny today? Because billions were produced, most circulated examples are worth only a few cents to a few dollars. However, condition plays a crucial role in value. Circulated coins, worn from use, usually range from 3 cents to 25 cents. Uncirculated coins, also called mint state, can range from $2 to $10, depending on appeal. High-grade examples, especially those graded MS-65 or higher by professional grading services, can fetch between $15 and $50 or more. The San Francisco S mintmark coins are slightly scarcer in high grades and may command a bit of a premium. In addition, collectors often look for errors and varieties. Some 1945 pennies show doubling in the lettering or date, known as double die errors. Others may have off-center strikes or other minting mistakes, which can make them far more valuable, sometimes hundreds of dollars, depending on rarity and condition. Why collect the 1945 wheat penny? The 1945 penny is appealing to collectors for several reasons. 1. Historical significance. Minted during the final year of World War II, it represents a turning point in American and world history. 2. Iconic design. The wheat cent design is one of the most beloved in U.S. coinage, and the Lincoln portrait remains a powerful symbol. 3. Accessibility. With so many produced, beginners can easily find and collect them without spending a fortune. 4. Varieties and errors. Even though it's a common date, there are interesting varieties that make hunting for them exciting. Tips for collectors. If you're interested in collecting the 1945 penny, here are a few tips. Check the mintmark. Be sure to look closely at whether your coin is from Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. Examine condition. Coins with sharp details, original luster, and minimal scratches are much more valuable. Look for errors. Always inspect the date, lettering, and edges. 4. Signs of doubling, misalignment, or unusual features. Store properly. Keep coins in protective holders or albums to prevent damage from air, moisture, or handling. Consider grading. For higher value examples, professional grading by services like PCGS or NGC can authenticate and preserve the coin's value. Fun facts. The Lincoln wheat cent was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person rather than a symbolic figure. The initials of the designer, VDB, originally appeared on the reverse of the 1909 penny at the bottom between the wheat stalks. They were removed due to criticism but later restored in small form on Lincoln's shoulder. In 1945, a penny had more purchasing power than today. Back then, you could buy a newspaper, a handful of candy, or a phone call with just 1 cent. Conclusion: the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny is more than just a piece of pocket change. It's a tangible link to America's past, to the end of World War II, to the legacy of Abraham Lincoln, and to the everyday lives of people in the mid-20th century. While not rare, its history and design make it a must-have for collectors. Whether you find one in an old jar of coins, inherit a collection, or seek out pristine examples for your album, the 1945 penny is a coin that tells a story worth remembering. So next time you come across a wheat penny, take a moment to look closely. You might just be holding a little piece of history. Outro: if you enjoyed learning about the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the world of coins. Drop a comment below if you have a 1945 penny in your collection. We'd love to hear your stories. We're going to take a closer look at a coin that might be hiding in your pocket change or in an old family collection, the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny, a piece of American history that continues to attract coin collectors and history lovers around the world. This coin, often referred to as a wheat cent because of the two wheat stalks on its reverse side, is part of the iconic series that ran from 1909 until 1958. The 1957 issue comes near the very end of this design, making it one of the last wheat pennies ever struck by the United States Mint before the change to the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. Let's dive into its history, design, minting details, and current value so you can understand why this humble 1 cent coin is more than just small change. The historical background: to understand the 1957 penny, we need to rewind back to 1909, the centennial year of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Until then, U.S. cents carried designs like the Indian head cent. But President Theodore Roosevelt wanted U.S. coins to look more artistic and patriotic. He commissioned Victor David Brenner, a Lithuanian-born sculptor, to create a design featuring Lincoln. This was the first time a real person, and especially a president, appeared on a circulating U.S. coin. The design was so popular that it lasted for over a century, with only the reverse changing. From 1909 to 1958, the reverse carried two wheat ears, giving the coin its nickname, the wheat penny. By 1957, the wheat design had already become a familiar sight in American pockets, and millions of these coins were struck. Design details: let's break down the look of the 1957 penny. Obverse: the obverse features a right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Brenner. Above Lincoln's head, the motto, "In God We Trust," arches across the top. To the left is the word "Liberty," and to the right, you'll find the date 1957. If the coin was minted in Denver, you'll see a small D mint mark below the date. If no mint mark is present, it was struck in Philadelphia. The reverse shows two stylized wheat stalks curving inward from both sides, framing the inscriptions. In the center is the denomination 1 cent, with United States of America below. At the very top, you'll see the Latin phrase e pluribus unum, which means out of many, one. This simple but classic design symbolized both Lincoln's legacy and America's agricultural roots. Minting and production: the 1957 wheat penny was minted in two locations. 1. Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark. Over 28 million coins were struck here in 1957. Denver Mint, D mint mark. A much larger mintage of 1 billion coins came out of Denver that same year. Because so many coins were produced, the 1957 wheat penny is not considered rare in circulated condition. However, special variations, high-grade examples, or error coins can make a big difference in value. Errors and varieties: collectors are always on the lookout for error coins or special varieties, and the 1957 penny has some interesting examples. Double die errors: some 1957 cents show doubling on the lettering or date. These are rare and highly collectible. Off-center strikes: if a coin wasn't struck properly, part of the design might be missing, making it more valuable. Repunched mint marks, RPMs: on some Denver coins, the D mint mark was punched twice, slightly offset. These varieties are worth more than regular strikes. Collectible value: now, let's talk about what you're probably most curious about, the value of the 1957 wheat penny today. Circulated condition: most 1957 pennies you'll find in circulation are worth 3 to 10 cents. Because billions were minted, they're still fairly common. Uncirculated condition: mint state: a shiny, red, uncirculated 1957 penny can fetch $1 to $5, depending on grade. High grades: MS-65 and above certified coins graded by services like PCGS or NGC can bring $15 to $30 or more. Error coins. Double die or repunched mint mark errors can range from $20 to several $100s, depending on rarity and condition. So, while the average 1957 wheat penny isn't going to make you rich, the right coin, in the right condition, could add real value to a collection. Collectors' interest. Why do collectors still love the 1957 wheat penny? 1. End of an era. It was one of the final years of the wheat design, making it historically important. Point 2. Affordability. Beginners can start collecting these coins without spending a fortune. Point 3. Lincoln legacy. Abraham Lincoln is one of America's most respected presidents, and his image adds timeless appeal. Point 4. Error hunting. The possibility of finding a valuable error penny keeps collectors excited. Tips for collectors. If you're thinking about collecting 1957 wheat pennies, here are a few tips. Look for red luster. Coins that retain their original bright copper red shine are worth more than those that have toned brown. Check for mint marks. Pay close attention to the small d on Denver coins, as mint mark errors are possible. Inspect for errors. A magnifying glass or coin loop can help you spot doubling or other unusual details. Store properly. Use coin holders or albums to protect your pennies from damage and discoloration. Conclusion. The 1957 Lincoln wheat penny is more than just a cent, it's a piece of history from mid-20th century America. While it may not be the rarest coin, its beauty, affordability, and connection to Abraham Lincoln make it a favorite among collectors. Whether you have one in your pocket change, inherited a jar of them from a relative, or are just starting a coin collection, the 1957 wheat penny offers a great way to connect with the rich story of U.S. coinage. So the next time you come across a humble wheat cent, take a moment to appreciate its history. You never know, it might be a hidden treasure. And that wraps up our deep dive into the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny. If you enjoyed learning about this classic American coin, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another episode on collectible coins.